Hello, guys. You are welcome to the part 2 of our Subway Surfers series. Remember, we said we're gonna build the Subway Surfer game in 3 parts, and now we are back to work on the part 2 of our Subway Surfer series. And in this part, we're gonna be writing the codes for the movement of our player. We're going to write codes such that when we click the up arrow key, the player knows to jump up. When we click the down arrow key, the player knows to roll. And when we click the left or right arrow key, the player gets to move towards the left or right, trying to dodge the train, the oncoming train, or whatever object we see along its path. Now, let's get started to writing the codes. Now, first, let us create the codes to make sure that when we click the up arrow key, the player reacts accordingly by jumping up. And when we click the down arrow key, the player also reacts accordingly by rolling on the floor. Remember, we have set what happens when the costume is sit down. When sit down equals 1, which means when the down arrow key is supposed to be pressed. And we've also said what happens when bounce equals 1, which means when the up arrow key is pressed. So let's complete that bit of code. At the when green flag clicked, we need the forever loop because we want that to happen every single time. And we have an if condition. In fact, we're going to have 2 if-then blocks. The first one to sense if the down arrow key is pressed, and the second one to sense if the up arrow key is pressed, just like this. Now, if the down arrow key is pressed, we want to set sit down to 1. We want to set sit down to 1. And in the same way, if the up arrow key is pressed, we want to set bounce to 1. Now, if you test out your code, you'd see you're able to jump up and also roll on the floor, depending on if you click the up arrow key or down arrow key. Now, remember that we earlier created a variable called life, which was meant to hold the state of play, which means if life equals 1, which means our game is still running. But then if life equals 0, we don't do anything at all yet. We have no reaction to whatever happens when life equals 0. So we need to react to that. And let's quickly do that before we go on to creating the movement of our player. Now I'm gonna attach the code instead of having more when flag click block. Let me just create a bit of space here. We create a bit of space here. Yeah. So I can have my conditions for when life becomes 0. I can attach them to the bottom here. So to do that, I'll go to my control and I'll look for the forever loop because I want to make sure that whatever code I write here happens every time life becomes 0. So to do that, I'll attach my if then block, and I want to check if add an operator here. I want to check if life or alive, whichever one you call that, if life equals 0, not 50. Now, if life equals 0, we want to stop every other script in the game. that is the train script, the Subway Surfer logo script. We want to stop every other one. So we need to look for that block that says stop every other script in the, okay, stop other scripts in the sprite. Now, when life equals 0, I want to stop other scripts in the sprite, and then at the same time, I want to change the costume of player to dead. Remember, we have other costumes here, and dead is somewhere here. All right, we want to change that costume to dead, and at the same time, we want to make sure that it goes all the way down to dead 6, where it finally lays flat. So, here's what we need to do. We would switch costume to dead, not dead 6, switch costume to dead 1, and we'll wait a few seconds. Let's wait for about 0. You have to wait for a really low second so that it quickly does that. So 0.02 seconds. After which, I need to repeat certain things about 5 times. Now look at why we're repeating it 5 times. We have dead 1. Where's that? We have dead 1. We have costumes dead 1 all the way down to dead 6, where it goes flat. And the difference between dead 1 to dead 6, it's about 5 times. So I've switched to dead 1, and I only need to repeat 5 times. I need to go to next costume, and I'll wait for a few seconds. Say 0.1 second. Let me take this up so we can see clearly. Say 0.1 second, and after which I can now stop every other part of my game. Okay, I need to look for the stop all block. Here we go. Stop all. That I can stop every other part of my game. Now, what we have simply done is when we click the start button, we're able to switch between jumping up and going down until we get to hit our trade. Then we go through the sequence of life becoming 0 and all the other costume changes. I hope that's clear enough. If there are any questions, please feel free to leave your questions in the comments. I would always react to them. Okay? Now it's time to move on to creating the motion, where we get to move our sprite left or right by clicking the left arrow key or the right arrow key. Now, while we begin to write the codes for the movement left arrow and right arrow, let's pay close attention to the costumes of the player. Again, if you take a look at the costume, the 8th costume is the roll costume, which indicates when the down arrow key is pressed. We do not want that. We only want to react to the left and right arrow keys. Now, the left and right arrow keys will only work provided that the player is on one of these costumes, costume 1 all the way down to costume 7, but definitely not from costume 8 and downward, because that is roll and the dead costumes. Now, while we have noted that, let us begin to write our codes around that. So back to my code. Let me try to create a bit of space. Yeah, I'm gonna try to create a bit of space here. Here we go. Now, I'll say when a key is pressed. This time, I'll say when key left arrow is pressed, because I want to react to the left arrow click. when key left arrow is pressed, I need to check for certain conditions. I'll say if I need an AND block now. I need an AND block here because I want to check for two things. I want to check for the position, and I also want to check for the costume number as well. Okay, so I'll say if X position greater than -1. Now notice that at 0 is at the center. So if it moves here, it becomes negative. And if it moves here, it becomes positive. So I'm writing the codes for the left arrow, which means when it moves towards the side. So I'm going to say if X position greater than -1. So I look for the greater than symbol. No, I've got to arrange that properly. My AND block, the greater than symbol here. I'm going to look for X position. X position. I need my X position. X position should be somewhere here. Yeah, here we go. If my X position is greater than -1, and at the same time we want to make sure that our costume is not on the row costume. Now remember, the row costume is costume number 8. Costume number 8. We want to make sure it's not this. So we'll go back and look for a NOT block. We'll look for a NOT block. Here we go. And NOT. Then I'll look for an equal to block now. And then I'll look for costume number. Equals to costume number. Here we go. Costume number equals 8. Then I want to move towards the side. So for me to get to this point, let's see how many steps I've got to make. That's about 150 steps. So I'll change X by -150. I'll change X by -150. Change X by -150. And just to make it a lot smoother, let me wait for a few seconds. Very small, say 0.2 seconds. 0.2 seconds. Now, what I've done for the left arrow, I must do as well for the right arrow, but this time I need to flip these signs. So I'll repeat the same trick. I'll say when the right arrow key pressed, I'll look for my if then block, just like I did earlier. Let me create more space. Now I'd also need my AND block because I want to compare two conditions. I'll need my AND block, and again I want to say if X position is less than 1. If X position is less, this is what I want to do. If X position is less than 1. So I need to look for X position as well, just like I did on the first step. X position less than 1. And again, we need to make sure that our costume number is not costume number 8. So I'll look for the NOT operator again. And look for the equal to. Then I'll go to costume. I'm trying to look for costume number. Here we go. Costume number not equals to costume number 8. Now, in that case, we also want to change x. In that case, we want to change x by just about the same amount, but this time a positive number. So change x by 150. And again, just like we did earlier, to make it move smoothly, we need to delay by just a fraction of a second. Say 0.2 seconds. Now at this point, we should begin to notice our game. Well, we should be able to move from left to right. We should be able to move from left to right with our player, just like this. Now, in our next part, we're going to begin to talk about writing the codes for the trains and other objects that appears along the tracks of the Subway Surfer, and also how we need to earn coins. Now, we've been able to treat so far the jumping motion. We've been able to treat the crouching motion, which is roll, bounce, and sit down. We've also been able to make sure our player moves left and right seamlessly. And next, in our final part, we would be adding the movement of the train. Please stay tuned and see you in our next part.